Today's video, we're going to go through Lisa's story and how she scaled to over 6K a month as a high ticket closer. Now, Lisa started this journey being a stay-at-home mum for over 20 years. So you can't paint out a more extraordinary journey to becoming a high ticket closer. So in today's video, we're going to go through that entire journey with the Close Pro Academy and how she got to that point. So enjoy.
Mostly. But here we are. So Lisa, it was it's probably my favorite story of anyone I've worked with is always yours, and you do always become the story that I tell, because I always say that you are the best justification of anyone who doubts themselves whether they can make this work, whether it is down to someone's ability to just work hard, or my sales experience, or I haven't done this or I haven't done that. You're always the story that I say. You couldn't have come into a industry that is as different from where you'd come from, a challenge that was harder than anyone else's that we'd ever coached, and we always knew that we could get you to an awesome place. But we even did say, hey, it might take us a little bit longer than usual,
right?
But here we are. So yeah, your story as such is obviously a very very long one, a very inspirational one. But I thought it would be nice to just have a bit of background of kind of what you were doing before you joined. What were we, about a year in now? About a year?
Yeah. July.
Right.
July I signed up.
Okay. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Starting with a bit of a background of where you were before you joined Close Pro.
So I was a stay-at-home mom for over 20 years. The sad part is my husband passed away in July of 23. So I took a year to figure out my life and what I was going to do. We had 2 boys. And so at that point, I just kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I wanted to think outside the box. A lot of people are making money online, and I'm like, why can't I? I didn't want to waitress or go back to doing nails or anything like that. So I'm like, I need to provide an income for my boys that my husband provided, and he was in sales. So long story short, your page popped up on my Instagram, literally. And I dove in, I explored. I even did a background check on you.
I always say people do, right? It's like, if you're going to be trusting someone to actually not just teach you a skill, but potentially change your whole life, like, you should look into that person. You should make sure they're the right person for you, because there's so many people who like to blind the view of who they really are, and it's just this some dream that is being sold. So yeah, like, I'm always an advocate of people taking the time to research people, make sure they're the right person to fit. But like I said, we get so many people who say, "Oh, well, I'm not too sure because of this or that. I've only got 2 years sales experience. Is that enough?" And it's like, look, I've helped someone with 20 years of not even working be able to absolutely smash it as a closer. Like, if Lisa can do it, why can't you? But
Exactly.
20 years out of work. But I've always said, like, it is just a testament to, if you have the right reason, then you will always make something work. And I don't think there's a better reason for wanting to truly step up, provide for your kids, and and do everything that you wanted to do. But you're right, not having to go back to minimum wage, slugging around 10-hour days, because you really don't have to. But
no, and I feel like the biggest thing for me is, like, my life got sad overnight, right? And so to trap me down and give me this crazy schedule would just make my life even harder. And so the thing that appealed to me the most was to be free. I saw this question. It said, "Are you a tree or are you a bird?" And I'm like, I'm a bird, I got to fly. So as you can see, I'm not at home.
Where are you?
I'm at my
Florida,
home
right?
away from home.
Florida. You're in Florida?
I am. I'm in the Keys right now.
Okay, nice. And did you have to put in a holiday request form to go there?
No. No holiday request form. And actually, I did some work today. I scheduled myself in the books, just for a couple of hours. I scheduled from like noon to 3. So I had my morning off, and I was able to jump on a couple of calls. And so here we are. You can take it with you wherever you go.
Do you know what? I used to love doing that. I used to go on holiday, and the partner I was with at the time always used to moan and be like, "Oh, why are you working?" And it's like, look, it's a couple of hours. It's not really working. I used to just sit by the pool, make sure my backdrop was really nice, and God, it was always used my advantage,
Yeah.
and make what I used to in a week in a like a couple of hours sitting in a 5-star resort in Greece. Like I loved doing that, absolutely loved doing that. So yeah, like too right, because it does.
Right.
You know what it is, I think it's about 4.5 years since I had more than 3 days off, but I don't feel
Mm,
like I need to have 3 days solidly off. I would get a bit
yeah.
itchy. So yeah, absolutely love that. And I think the other thing was how hard you had to work to get in there. But the hard wasn't that it was so complicated you'd never figure any of this stuff out. It was just consistently showing up, right?
Yes, I was very consistent at showing up. I mean, I know you can attest to that. I
Mm.
got on as many sales calls as I possibly could for training.
Yeah,
I did, the 10 to 15 hours a week. I had the time, right? So
yeah,
I dove in head first, and I think the biggest thing was showing up on as many trainings as you possibly can. And even
yeah.
with the time difference,
Sorry. Yeah, we were saying like showing up, even though, yeah, a bit of a time difference. Um,
right?
so, but that's what I mean. Like you say, it's I say we've got to work hard, but realistically, like you say, it's 15 hours a week. And unfortunately, a
Right.
lot of people can't even do that. The consistency, because you feel like you could do it for a couple of months, no problem. But we need a good 3-4 months consistently showing up. And I think it took us about 5 months to even get placed, right? Like
Yeah, five or well,
5, 6.
about yeah, six, around
Mm.
six, I would say, took me. I had some interviews. Obviously it took me a little bit of time, but I've landed the ultimate role thanks to you.
The perfect role for you. Because yeah, as we said, it was always going to take us a little bit longer than most people. We're
Right.
fighting an uphill battle, but as I said, if you just show up, you will make it. And I think the thing that I always really appreciated was seeing the feedback you would get from interviews. The reason that you would get further than people with 10 years of sales experience sometimes was because you just followed everything that we laid out, right?
I
I
did.
want to prepare you for everything. Some offers will want a resume, some won't. Some offers will want you to do a video, some won't. So we have to know everything. We have to be prepared for everything. Like, how different was the interview process on one person versus the other?
Oh, it's so different. And I think the biggest thing is like I literally did exactly what you told me to do. I mean, what you laid out for each person. And it's like dive in, do all
Mm.
the research you can, figure out who you're going to work for, what they do, why they do it, why it's important to them. And so I did that with each interview. I created a Loom video personalized for each
Yeah.
interview. I didn't do a generic one. My resume was not great, right? So
But you
I
put
did
the
not
effort
have
into
a
it.
whole lot,
Like,
right? But it worked, anybody can do it. It works. I'm 49 years old and now working, but I'm able to provide that income that my husband did, and it's definitely paid off. But you've got to put the work in
Yeah.
and just really do what's laid out in front of you that Close Pro has given to us.
Yeah. But, from uh, being, as you say, a stay-at-home mum for 20 years to being able to
Mhm.
earn it's up to 6, 7K a month as a
Yeah.
closer in an industry that you've never been in before, when most people in sales, they're making probably 2.5K if they're lucky for the first couple of years. It's just a testament. But if you want to front load that kind of taking the work on your shoulders, not being given everything, a salary, sick pay, that's the sacrifice that you make. But
Right.
again, it's the most the most inspirational story you could ever have. You had the right motives. You worked so hard consistently. It took you even longer than some people, but as you say, what
It
you've
did.
now been able to do, the life you've been in, and hey, like what did we say last month or the month before? Like, who have you now been able to get involved into what you're doing?
What do you mean? Say that again. I'm sorry.
So who have you now been able to get involved with what you're doing?
Oh, my son. Yeah. So my
Exactly.
son is working for the client I have at Davy Mayer.
Yeah.
He's 17 years old. He does not have any sales training whatsoever, and he's a setter for their team, and he's receiving his own sales training that he's putting him through, which is absolutely phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even thought that this could be possible for him. So it's incredible.
Well, it's all been possible. And like I say, it's not me. Like I've given you the path, but I can't make people walk the path. I can't make them show up. I can't make them work hard. Like that was all you. And you know, like as everyone does, you know, we can have confidence issues sometimes, we can have doubts, we can have this, we can have that. But fuck me, when someone who's just proven that it comes down to you and you alone, like you cannot have any doubt in the world anymore. Like you have provided enough evidence to quiet them voices and then some, not even like providing for yourself, for your kids, and now an opportunity to your child as well, like getting him into the industry, yeah, getting his the teeth stuck in. I mean, God, can you imagine what would happen if you would have got into this space at 17? I look back and sometimes think that and think I'd be a lot further along than I am right now. But
I know, I can't even imagine. But yeah, you got to put the work in. You do what's laid out in front of you, and it will work. I mean, and you know, I was in your academy, and everybody's in their 20s, some are in their 30s. So at first I felt a little bit, yeah, some of you. At first I felt a little out of place, but not for very long at all. Like I love the community. Everybody is like your biggest cheerleader to get you where you need to be. And, you know, thanks to you and thanks to the community as well.
Yeah. Well, we are, you know, we are always, and this is what I love about it, is like it doesn't take away when someone else wins, whereas most things, when someone else wins, you lose. But this, everyone supports each other, everyone gets around with each other, and it's nice to be in a positive environment. It's nice to actually be around people that want to do that thing, you know, that you want to do. They want to do something in their life. They want to raise themselves up. They want to, you know, support other people around them. So, yeah, you were always such an amazing addition to the community. You've been the most inspirational story that I've ever had, and had the pleasure of personally working with. And also, you know, this is still the start. Realistically, you know, we've still got a long way to go. You know, new levels to climb. You know, new things to achieve. So, you know, again, I cannot thank you enough for being that inspirational story, because you're the one that I always use for other people. So people who can now see your journey again, it's like coming up, and that's the indirect effect that you've had. It's like the other people coming through, seeing your story, seeing how hard you've worked and what you've been able to do, the life you've been able to provide for yourself, kids, and all that. You know, it's been so good to have. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what happens next, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, it was an absolute pleasure. So again, we'll look forward to finding out what happens next and when we do another one of these in a year.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, Lisa.